Start.
What do I say?
Just say, hi, my name is Brandon.
That's it.
Clap when you're ready.
Okay. Hey guys, I'm Braylon. I'm going to be telling you about what it's like to go to an open call audition for The Voice. So basically, I live in Georgia, like in Atlanta, Georgia. And so my open call audition was in Nashville. And I had to wake up really early in the morning, and they told us to wear like whatever you wanted to wear that would represent you as an artist. So
we woke up really, really early on a Saturday just to get to Nashville. It was an over 4-hour drive. And so we did that. Braylon slept. I drove. So yeah, we got there. We thought we were gonna have time to sit, rest, practice, but the call schedule was for noon, right?
yeah.
And we got there about 11:15 or so, and as soon as we got there, they called the line for the 12 o'clock people. So we raced and got in line. We were about the 20th or so people in line. And then we went right in.
First thing we did was we went into the huge Music City Center in Nashville, and there was like a bunch of art hanging on the walls and stuff, and we went up 2 flights of like escalators, and we waited in line for like 5 minutes, and then we started going in through like this maze of just like people just like with red shirts on. They had like microphones and stuff telling you where to go. In line for a little while. It wasn't long at all. It was like literally 5 minutes. And there was like a big table, and like there was 3 or 4 people, and they had to check your bag, and then they had like these little metal detector thingies where like and they like, yeah, that was quick, no biggie. And you go through there, and then you go through like more mazy stuff, just pink arrows on the floor. You get to this table, and you just hand in your little ticket and give your ID to the guy or girl who's sitting there. And they gave 2 wristbands. One was red, one was yellow. The red one was to show that I was auditioning, and the yellow one was to show that I'm a minor and I was with my mom. After I gave them my paperwork and stuff, got my wristbands, there was like these little banners behind the table that said like The Voice. They were like as big as this window behind me, and I got my picture taken in front of that. Then we were led into like, we were in groups of like 20, 25, and we got led in a big gigantic room of like 300 seats, and we were sat down, and then
Had to go to the bathroom.
So she left, and she asked the guy, like one of the people who were helping out, she was like, can I go to the bathroom? And he was like, yeah, you should have time. And as soon as I sit down, they're like, okay, so this group, we're gonna take you and we're gonna go to this next line. I was like, oh my God, I'm freaking out. And so I like take all my mom's stuff, I'm like carrying it, I'm like, oh my God, where am I going? And I run into the bathroom, and I'm like, we gotta go! And then we go.
Then we had to find our people. Like, our people had gone out of the room
Oh, yeah.
and had turned. She was like, they went this way. So we ran. She's got stuff. I've got stuff. I'm trying to find the people. I'm like, where's the people? She's like, oh, they went that way. So we had to run back the other way. Really, they had just gone right around the corner and was standing in line. But we ran all the way down, like about 3 miles that way. And then we turned around and came back and got at the end of the line. And we were all out of breath.
And we were, yeah.
And she was in high heels,
Yeah.
carrying the bags like this.
Yeah. But we made it.
There was a guy with a funny hat on, and so we were able to
yeah.
find the guy with the funny hat, so we knew he was in our group.
Went down the big escalator things, boom, like a few seconds, and they led us into like another hallway, and we were just waiting there for a long time. Well, actually not a long time, like 10 minutes. And then they started separating us into smaller groups, like At the time, we were in like a group of 25, and then they split us up into 2 groups of 10, and then there was more people like coming in line behind us.
And they didn't tell us that we couldn't practice, but before we started practicing, we were singing. We were practicing.
We were singing, like practicing our song, like our little duet song, and then this guy, like with a red shirt on, he's got like a microphone in his ear. He looks like Keith Urban,
Yeah, Keith Urban.
But his hair's like really greasy, and he's really skinny. He like comes up to me and he's like, "Excuse me, you can't sing here." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Oh, okay, can't sing at the voice tryout."
Yeah, there was another mother-daughter behind us. We knew that because both of them had red and yellow wristbands on. We figured we'd be the only ones with red and yellow wristbands.
Yeah.
But then right behind us was another mother-daughter group. But I think they were a duet. They weren't in our audition group.
Yeah.
So.
Group in front of us after that, like after we were waiting in line for a few minutes, they after we got told to stop singing, the group of 10 that got split up in front of us, the lady asked them to hold up their wristbands, and then they turned a corner and they went down this big hallway, and it had like 6 audition rooms like separated on the big hallway, and like they had to go and wait in line again in front of the door to one of the audition rooms. And so they would go in and do their stuff. Well, every now and then we'd see like a group of like 7 or 8 people come around the corner, and they would like all be sad or like looking down or crying or something, because the people who came out were the people who didn't go through. And then occasionally you'd see a person come out with a red card in their hand, and they like wave in there and they'd be like, "Woo!" you know, because that red card meant that they would go to like the next round, and like they would, I guess, they would have to go sing for a new producer, like a few more, like 2 or 3 more songs, I guess, but they would get like backup music and all that.
And they counted our 10, and then they came by and cut all of our wristbands off. So I guess they don't want you to try to sneak back in line again. So they cut all of our wristbands off. They took all our papers and collected them. And then it was time to go in our room. So there was the chair set up like this, 5 chairs on this side and 5 chairs on this side. And we all sat down.
Yeah.
And there was one lady in the front with a computer, a laptop, and she was telling us to come in and sit down.
The only like main thing she said was like, no phones, and then she said like to keep your audition time like at a minimum, because there's obviously a lot of people trying out.
1 verse, 1 chorus, no longer than about 45 seconds. That's what she said.
Yeah, and she said like don't be offended if we like hold a hand up and like ask you to stop after a certain amount of time. So the first person to go was my mom.
Me. I got to lead the charge.
And because like they took her papers up last and then put her paper on the top, I guess. And so she got up and sang awesomely. Is that a word?
It is now.
Awesomely. And she sang. It was good. It was perf. I just said perf.
It was not perf.
It was so good.
I was pretty nervous, and my voice was rather shaky, and I knew that, and that's okay. I get nervous in front of people. Not talking. I can talk in front of people, but singing in front of people, I used to do it a lot, but I was able to drink a few beers before that, and I didn't do that. I don't drink anymore, so you know, I didn't have anything to calm my nerves, so I have to learn how to self-manage. I have to practice a little more. But anyway, so I had a little case of the nerves, and that's okay. You know, I was just getting out there to have fun. It's a good adrenaline rush. It's always good to challenge yourself, no matter how old you are or young you are. So yeah. So I was first.
So she
was
went,
second,
and then I went. They were like, "Okay, Miss Braylon." I got up, and I was shaking so hard. I was trying to hold it in. I was like,
you couldn't tell.
You couldn't?
You couldn't tell she was shaking. But I was behind her, so maybe her hands were shaking.
I was so nervous. I was like, there's literally 12 people in here. I've sung in front of like hundreds of people before. This should be no biggie, but I was so scared. Like my voice was so dry, and I was like swallowing, and I was like, okay. she was like, okay, so tell me your name and the song you're singing and who it's by. And I was like, okay, cool. So I told her my name. I was like, yeah, my name's Braylon. I'm singing Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. And then I sang. And I did pretty good until like one little run towards like the end of the chorus. And I like kind of got off on it, but I recovered and did the ending high note really well and ended on a good note. And I was like, whew, okay. So I sat down and then like two other people sang. I don't remember who. It was some dude and then like some other girl. And then this really big, tall, skinny dude comes up and he's like, hi, my name's, I forgot his name. He's like, and I'm gonna be singing Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. And I was like, well, this is great. Because this has happened to me before. When I tried out for America's Got Talent, I sang Listen by Beyonce. And the girl after me sang Listen by Beyonce. Like the same exact way that I did it. I was like, what is going on? So I guess I need to pick different song choices.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what's the chance out of like a million people singing the same song as me and the guy freaking singing the same song as me? Actually, a lot of the people in my group, like the group of 10 people, were really good. Like the last girl who sang, I was like, oh my gosh, that's my competition. And there was a guy in there who looked like Ed Sheeran with brown hair, and he sang like him too, and it was so cool. I don't remember. The song he did was not popular, like the first...
Summertime. Who was about him? The one who got called back?
Yeah.
Summertime.
His name was Daniel.
Oh, okay. He sang Summertime, that Fantasia song?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did a pretty good job.
He did it
there
really
wasn't
good.
There wasn't anybody in our group that was really bad.
Yeah.
Everybody was good or great.
Yeah.
And nobody really messed up their words. Nobody cracked their voice. Nobody freaked out and panicked. Like, you know how you see those people who just like fall apart or whatever, just really, really mess up or whatever. Nobody did that. Like everybody was pretty good or really good. There wasn't really any bad people in our group.
So like everybody had gone and I was like sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh. Like,
oh, but she asked Daniel to sing a second song.
Oh yeah,
right
she
then.
did. Right after he sang his first song, she was like, oh, can you sing another one? And the one he did didn't do him much good. Like he sang
Jason Mraz.
Yeah, what's it called? I'm Yours by Jason Mraz. And he
only sang like
three
lines
a few lines, and then she's like, okay, thank you. And I was like, ugh. So he sat down and she was like, okay guys, so thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate you like trying to be on the show, and just even if you don't get a call back, don't be discouraged, always come back. And then she was like, and if I call your name, then please stay. And so she called my name and she called Daniel's name, and everyone else left besides you. She has to stay with me because she's my mom. And she was like, okay, Braylon, before the people even left the room, she was like, okay, come stand on the little green X, and I need you to sing your second song. And I like froze up and I was like, okay, okay. So I started singing my song. I sang Rise Up by Andre Day, and I was like, I'll rise up, I'll rise like
That's good, thank you.
Yeah, that was it. And I was like, oh. And I was like, okay. And she was like, so here's what I want you to do. And I was like, oh my God, can either go really bad or really good. She was like, here's what I want you to do. Do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, no. She was like, you need to make one. And then she asked my mom if she had access to my email so that they could reach out to me and contact me and tell me and give me like a...
They're going to reach out to her on the next season so that they can, if they like her YouTube channel, they're going to follow her YouTube channel and see how she's doing. And if they like where she's going with it, then they will reach out to her for the next season and invite her for the next tryouts. So I'm thinking that the next tryouts they might ask her for a more private audition instead of just open calls. I'm not sure about that, but that's just our guess. So
she was like, thank you for coming. And then like I was like, okay, cool. So I'm walking out And like she's like, okay, Daniel, I need you to sing your song. Like before I even left the room.
She said, do you have a third song? And he was like,
oh yeah,
no.
Yeah.
She's like, well, just can you think of one?
And
just
he was like,
one that might represent your voice and blah blah blah.
He asked
was
her
like,
to suggest one.
Yeah, like what? She's like, just pick something that sounds like your style. And I don't even like. We were leaving.
Yeah,
so
I didn't hear
I don't
what
think
he
we
did.
heard what he ended up doing because he was still trying to decide, or if he even ever came up with one by that time we left. And so he was really the only one in our group that even stayed. We don't know if he got a red card.
I don't know if he did or not because he asked her. He was like, "Do you have any suggestions?" I was like, "That's not the answer to it."
Yeah, but I have to say that as far as the process, The Voice has got the process down to a science. Like we never sat for more than 5 to 10 minutes in any given place. It was like, line up here, go over here. Line up here, get your group over here. Line up here, sit over here. Line up here, here, here. Maybe it took a long time, but since they have you moving around so much and you never sit in one place, you don't sit and like get yourself all freaked out. You don't have time to like really even think about anything. Like she was gonna do my makeup when we got there. I was like, when we get there, we're gonna have plenty of time. Let's be sitting down, we'll be hanging out with the other people. You can do my makeup then. We never even sat down and had time to do my makeup. So I went in there all natural.
Yeah.
But like we, they really have the process down so that is, even though it took us a lot longer to drive than it did for the process. Like we probably got in line like 11, 15, 30ish or whatever. We were out of there by like 2 o'clock or something like that. So we were probably in there for just over 2 hours from start to finish. And there was a lot of other people after us too, but even the line was really long. It was pretty much just moving the whole time. So they get you in, they get you out. They don't waste any time. And so it's really not that bad of a process. You think about when we went to America's Got Talent, we got at the hotel at like 4 a.m. We found out after an hour that we had been standing in the wrong place. They made us go all the way around the building. Then we got somebody to help sneak us into the front. It was terrible. It was terrible. Like, and everywhere we went, we had to sit forever and wait. It was like hours and hours and hours and hours. But The Voice, it was streamlined. It was great.
There was a bunch of people, but it was so quick. It was like 2.5 hour process. Didn't even feel like that. It felt like it went by so fast.
Yeah. So we have to give shout outs to The Voice for running a tight ship.
Yeah.
And, it was a good experience.
Yeah, it really was.
So it makes it to where if you think about having to come back, you're like, yeah, I could do that again. The worst part was the drive.
Yeah.
Home probably because it was just over 4 hours. But she slept on the way home too, so she didn't really notice.
It's something I'm definitely going to go back and do, considering they are going to reach out to me. But I had a really good time. It was like really good to hear her feedback, and her telling me to make like a YouTube channel. Like I plan on doing more with my singing and everything. So yeah.
So this is the start of her YouTube channel. So if The Voice is watching now, get ready because you're going to be able to see her sing all of her good stuff. And if you are tuning in now, make sure that you click right down here or here. I don't know how it's going to be. One of these places. Subscribe. Click this right here for your like, okay? And support Braylon so that she can get sent back to The Voice, and then you can say that you knew her before she became famous. So, because when she becomes famous, she can be like, I was her first subscriber, or second, or 50th, or whatever. One of them.
And the first person who comments down below, I'll give you a shout out in my next video.
Yeah, that's a bet. Then when she's famous, you'll be able to go back. It's like if you were Drew when Taylor Swift before she was famous and you wouldn't go out with her, you could be Drew. I don't know who you're talking about. Drew. You know the song about Drew? Drew looks at me. Yeah, she sang a song about Drew. You don't know the story?
I know the story now.
And then, like, after she sang the song and became famous, he shows up at her door and he's like, hey, I'm Drew. Like, you want to go out? And she's like, heck no. Like, you dissed me before I was famous, so no. So you can be Drew.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, for you it is. I'm sure Drew still says, I'm Drew from the Drew song.
The Drew song. I don't even know the name of the song.
I don't know. Whatever. She might sing a song about you one day.
I have a
never
Drew.
know. She's got about 5 Drews, so
It's okay.
yeah. She's got a ton of Drews. You can be another one.
You said bet earlier. You're like, well, that's
Is
a bet.
Is that bad? Is it a bet? Is it a bet or just bet? Is that's bet?
Oh, that's bet.
That's
no,
bet?
No.
When you text me, you just say bet.
Bet.
So I said it right?
No, you said that's. You were like, oh, bet.
No, I
So-
said that's a bet.
Oh.
I did. So I said it right so you can leave it in. If I say any uncool things, you have to. Okay. I mean, if you leave them in.
Now, if you dab. Definitely cutting that out.
Is that right? Is that right?
I'm gonna end that right here.